Hi there, welcome back to the series of Master Python with practice questions where we learn by doing. So in this session we are going to embark on question 4. So let's get started. So the question says, design a program that asks the user to enter a stored cells for each day of the week. The amount should be stored in a list. Use a loop to calculate the total cells for the week and display the result. So for such a problem, we need to keep track of the days of the week, and also we have to store the amounts for each cell of the day in a list. So the first thing we are going to do is creating a function that we are going to use to perform this task of calculating the total cells for the week. So the function is going to be weekly cells calculation. So the first thing we are going to do is to create a list that stores the days of the week. So I'll first of all add a comment storing the days of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called days that is going to store the days of the week. So for the days of the week, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So since the amounts should be stored in a list, we are now going to go ahead and create a variable to store the amounts that are going to be captured for each day. So first of all, add a comment, and this is going to be, can be a list to store the cells for each day. So the name for this list, we can create a variable called cells that is going to be an empty list such that we add the amounts to it in the future. So we are also being told to calculate the total cells for the week and display the result. That means that we need a variable that is going to store the weekly total cells. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable. It's going to be weekly total cells, and initially the weekly total cell value is going to be 0. So having created these variables, we now have to go ahead and work on the logic that is going to prompt the user to enter the cells for each day. So with the fact that we are storing the days of the week in a variable, which is a list, we have to loop through the list so that we access each day independently. I'll actually update Wednesday to a capital letter 2. So we can actually first comment, prompting user to enter sales amount for each day of the week. So we are going to go ahead and loop through the days list. So for day, in days, we want to go ahead and prompt the user to enter the sales amount, for example, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all these other days of the week. So that means that we also need to keep track of the amount for each cell of the day. So I'm going to define a variable called sales amount. So the first thing we are going to do, having defined it, is assigning the input function, and we are going to pass in a prompt string telling the user to enter the sales amount For this case, I can actually, since I want to pass in the particular days, Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to work with a string formatter such that we can actually substitute this variable for each day within our string, literal. So enter the sales amount for, then we pass in the day. So having the user entered the sales amount for a particular day, we have to update the list variable for the cells. So the way we work with lists is that whenever we have an empty list and we want to add new data to the list, we have to append data to the list. So the list has the append function that we can use to add new data to it. So we access the list cells dot append such that we append the sales amount. And before we append any new data to this list, we also want to ensure that we are casting the data that is coming from the user. So sales.append, then we pass in the sales amount such that this list is updated. And having appended our list, we have to go ahead and create another loop that is going to calculate the total sales. Since we are being told to use a loop, I can actually just go ahead and add a comment here, loop to calculate the weekly total sales. So the loop we are going to use is going to be the for loop still. And since we are also looping through a list, we are going to say for I in the sales. So we always need a variable that we are going to use to loop through the list. So this variable is always user defined. So it can be sell for sell in sales, as long as you make sure that you're not using the same variable. Like what I'm trying to say, for example, if you say for sale for sales in sales, this is not true. The variable we use to loop through the list must be different from the list variable defined. So for sale in sales, we want to go ahead and keep track of the weekly total sales. We actually forgot to comment it out here. So this is the weekly total sales amount, and initially it is 0. So when we loop through this sales list, we want to update the weekly total sales amount. And you know that the weekly total sales amount is going to be a summation of the sales amount for each day of the week. So for us to be able to update the weekly total sales, we are going to go ahead and access it. So the weekly total sales, then plus equals the cell that is coming from our list. And this operator is the same as saying that the new weekly total sales amount is going to be the initial weekly total sales amount that we have, then plus the sale amount that is coming from the sales list. It is the same logic. So having updated our weekly total sale amount, we have to go ahead and print the weekly total sale amount. So I'm going to go ahead and add a string literal for this. So the total weekly sales for the store is, then we are going to go ahead and pass in our variable that we have defined, which is going to be weekly total sales. So having worked on our logic, I'm now going to go ahead and test our logic by calling the function so that it performs the task. So this is going to be calling the function, and the way we call the function, we access the function name and then we append the parentheses. And for this case, the function is not passing in any parameters. So I'm going to go ahead and run the application. So the output we are having, enter sales for Monday. Okay, so I can actually update the string literal to something better. Enter the sales amount for the day, then we add some semicolons. So I'm going to terminate this and rerun the application. Enter the sales amount for Monday. So we assume that maybe on Monday we made a sales of 8,000, and then on Tuesday we made a sale of maybe 9,000, then Wednesday maybe 6,000, then Friday maybe 5,000. Oh, my bad, that was Thursday. And then on Friday we make 3,000. Then on Saturday we increment this to 7,000. And then on Sunday maybe we made sales of 2,000. So we can see that the weekly total sales for the store is 40,000. And we can also customize the weekly total sales amount by customizing this too. So I'm going to clear this up and run the application. So enter the sales for Monday, then Wednesday, then Friday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, then Sunday. So the weekly sales for the store is this, which is fine. So this is all for question 4. Thanks for watching and see you again in question 5.